This week, Jen Bottomley will be ringing our bell. This week, Jennifer Bottomley will be ringing our bell to bring us into worship.
Welcome to our beloved sanctuary, as well as our digital sanctuary on Zoom. I'm Dave Harrington, the Worship Associate for today. Many thanks to Meredith St. John, who is operating the camera today, and to Sarah Saperstein, who's our Zoom usher. Those of you who are here in person, we ask that you keep your mask on at all times while indoors. The worship leaders may take off their masks at the mic when distanced from others, depending on their comfort level. As we begin our service today, we acknowledge that our church was built on the ancestral, unceded land of the Massachusetts people. We acknowledge the devastating legacy of settler colonialism and the continuing harm done to Indigenous groups in our community and beyond. May our commitment to justice, equity, and compassion call us to take meaningful, restorative action to honor and protect the land of all her people. We come together to recognize and celebrate the gift of life for ourselves and for all the creatures with whom we share this planet. For the miracle of every breath, with wonder in our joys and compassion in our sorrows. We invite all of you to bring your perspectives, your beliefs and doubts, and all that is unique and wondrous about you to our service. In the spirit of love, all are welcome here. If you're new to Theodore Parker Church or visiting today, we'd love to stay in touch. You're invited to fill out a connection card, which will give you an opportunity to sign up for our weekly updates and help us welcome you. A link to the connection card will be in the chat, as well as our contact information. Those joining us here in the sanctuary are encouraged to fill out in the contact card you'll find in your pews within the bright yellow pamphlet.
Today, we are doing something a little different in several ways. We hope that today we'll be invited into deeper reflection about the stories that you tell and the stories with which you surround yourself, the circles of stories that envelop us. Will invite us into deeper reflection about our own inner knowing. What does our mind, our body, and our spirit have to tell us? So we're inviting that spirit to be creative. We'll be reflecting upon 4 themes: land, ancestors, community, and need. And we'll say lots more about those. We'll have 4 times throughout the service to reflect. And you'll be invited to write or draw or collage or paint. So for those of you at home, you might want to gather up some pens or paper, or you probably want 4 pieces of paper or 1 paper torn into 4, or just a journal. If you're more meditative, it's okay to just sit and reflect during those times. Those of you who are here in person, we hope you got 4 pieces of paper when you came in. If you still need one, just put your hand up and we'll make sure you get some. If you want multiple colors because you think you'd like to draw, feel free to go grab some more markers. People of all ages are invited to stay in the service the whole time, but our fantastic child care provider, Abby Crum, is here in case any youngsters show up and then get wiggly. Abby's here to hang out. Or older folks, if you get wiggly too, I bet she's great to hang out with, so saying that. We hope that throughout today, each of you will find some comfort to carry with you over the week and some challenge for your thoughts. And at the close of today's service, we'll have a time for sharing those joys and sorrows and hopes and prayers that we carry. As always, we wish for each of you health, well-being, and a sense of peace. Welcome to worship. And we gather ourselves and gather all the parts of ourselves with this beloved round by the Unitarian Universalist musician and poet Lynn Unger, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. The text is adapted from the 13th century Sufi poet Jalal ad-Din Muhammad Rumi. So we'll sing it all together once and then in unison, and then feel free to add extra parts as a round if you feel so called. Michael, please, let me just share this slide, and then we will head into song.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, yet again come. Come, yet again come.
You may be seated. Our opening words, our call to worship, is from the poet Rosemary Watola Traumer. This is her poem titled Urgency. And with these words, we will light our flaming chalice. Again, the urge to bring gauze to the broken world, and medicine, and a plaster cast. Again, the urge to fix things, to heal them, to make them right. Again, the chance to do the work, which is to look in, to touch the pain, but not become it. To see the world exactly as it is and still write it a love letter. To meet what is cracked with clarity, to mirror and grow whatever beauty we find. Come, let us worship together. Stories permeate our lives. They're our primary mode of communication. They anchor us to the past, the present, and imagine futures beyond our current reality. Good, bad, utopian, dystopian, fantastical, romantic, and everything in between. We use stories to express both our knowing and our unknowing, to give shape to our lives. They are full of deep truths, but also half-truths and make-believe and wild nonsense. Stories can help us understand ourselves and others better. They can also become barriers between us, the mortar in the walls we build around truth and lived experience and freedom. Stories can also liberate us. Long before alphabets and writing, humans told stories. Pictures on stones were the stories of a community. Stories hold the creative wisdom of the world. They become theology and spirituality, the building blocks of generations. So today we get to explore some of our own stories about what has shaped us in this service that invites you to be reflective, creative, and an explorer self. I experienced a version of this worship in January at the UU Ministers Conference I attended. It was led by Claudio Carvales, who's an associate professor of worship at Union Theological Seminary. And his energy and passion just reached through the screen and into my heart. Claudio focuses on liturgies for liberation, and his recent project is called Reimagining Worship as Acts of Defiance and Alternatives in the Context of Empire. Quite a topic. He credited his inspiration to ecofeminist philosopher Donna Haraway, storytelling for earthly survival. And finally, I want to extend my gratitude to Reverend Sarah Lawal from the Boise UU Fellowship in Idaho, whose adaptation of Claudio's service we'll be using today. So, kudos and gratitude to the creative forces behind today's service. So for each of our 4 themes today, you're invited to sink into that reflective, creative space, to write or draw or doodle, whatever comes to mind, and notice which stories are emerging and which stories remain untold or on the margins. I invite you to get creative and don't worry about what comes out of it. You won't be asked to share it if you don't want to. The first time I did this exercise, it looked like this, just kind of a whole bunch of tiny little writing cramped in as much as possible. When I tried doing it later on, it looked more like this, spacious with colors and art. Whatever suits your needs today, please do that. Let the deep call to the deep. Let it come to the surface. Don't censor your thoughts. Go with the flow. So we begin with land. The land surrounds us every moment from our birth to our death. The land holds us up, the ground beneath our feet. Some would say the ground of our being. But often we forget about its influence in our lives, in our theologies, and in our spirituality, unless we are directly communing in nature. Living here in Boston, I hear land, and I think of New England's pine forests, its sparkling lakes and rocky coastlines. But the land is also the weeds that poke up through the cracked sidewalks, the mourning dove on the telephone wire, the turkey that blocks traffic. It's the mud and the mountains, the fox and the fern. This land gives us beauty and blessings as well as disaster. The land is as desperate as we are for love and connection. So here are the questions for you to reflect on in this first time of creativity. How has the land shaped you? The land of your birth, the land of your current home, the land right outside your window, the land of the indigenous tribes on which we now reside. How does it speak to you? How does it shape your beliefs, your spirit, your body? What does it ask of you? What do you need from it? As we reflect on these questions, which I'll also put in the chat, we'll have some music to reflect by.
Ancient mother, I taste your tears. Ancient mother, I hear your song. Ancient mother, I taste your tears. Ancient mother, I hear your song. Ancient mother, I taste your tears. Ancient mother, I hear you calling. Ancient mother, I hear your song. Ancient mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient mother, I taste your tears. Ancient mother, I hear you calling. Ancient mother, I hear your song. Ancient mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient mother, I taste your
Thank you. We move on now, next to ancestors. Ancestors, that great cloud of witnesses that surround us. Those who made us and loved us into being. Those whose blood runs in our veins and those chosen by us. The mentors and healers, leaders, justice makers, comforters. Those whose words and music and art and their very lives infused our souls. Those whose simple love still remains. Those known by many and those known by few, they are with us still. I invite us to consider that our ancestors are not only our blood relatives going back generations, the circle is much, much wider than that. They are all the lives who have touched ours in ways large and small, regardless of relation. In all of the identities that we inhabit, how would it be to count them among our people? While we claim many powerful, amazing ancestors, their stories are not perfect. They are complicated, and some of them are difficult to comprehend. They've not always made good choices, and sometimes they have caused harm. Yet through their stories, our circle is widened, our hearts expanded, our view broadened. So as our choir sings, I'm going to invite them to make their way up now. I invite you to reflect on these questions, which for those online, again, I'll put in the chat. And I'll repeat them because I know there's people walking up and down. Who do you count among your people? Who are the ancestors that inhabit your story, your circle, the ones that you claim and the ones that you inherited? What stories and learning do they bring into your life? How do they fuel your being? Who are your roots and branches, your great cloud of witnesses? I'll say that again. Who do you count among your people? Who are the ancestors that inhabit your story and your circle? What stories and learnings do they bring to your life? How do they fuel your being? Who are your roots and your branches? Who are your great cloud of witnesses?
Restless heart beats so imperfectly, but when you come and I am filled with wonder, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Thank you, choir. Thank you, Michael. The next circle we inhabit, the next story circle, is community. Community is the reason that we exist. It's what shapes our individual lives and stretches us beyond them to that interconnected web of which we are a part. We're a part of this congregation, and we remain a part of this congregation because of community. We're a part of this congregation and remain a part of it because it invites us to draw our circle wider still, beyond our walls, to be a part of and to support the communities that surround us, even when it feels hard and frustrating. We are also here to nurture those communities who need us, who need love, radical welcome, who need voices with mics, to pass the mics to them to amplify their voices. We need fortification for the road ahead. As Unitarian Universalists, we understand our faith as a communal one, rooted in covenant in our communities and in the world. In our commitments to each other and to the world. Our theology, many people say, must be shaped and practiced and co-created in community. So here's your chance to reflect. Which communities impact your life? Who are the people a part of it? Whose are we? Whose ought we to be? Who's at the center and who's on the margins? What communities call to you and call to us?
Draw the circle
as we look at the stories that are starting to unfold in front of you and the depths of wisdom they have, the depths of knowing they have about you, let's consider one more theme, the theme of need. When you think about the ancestors, the land, the community, what needs are calling to you as you think about this moment in our becoming? Sometimes the needs of this world, even the needs of our own families, can feel infinite and overwhelming. I invite you to capture the ones that weigh on your heart. And don't forget yourself. What do you need at this moment? What needs arise for you as you consider the land and ancestors and community? What are those deep spiritual longings that we notice and name? What needs might we center to keep drawing that circle wider still? Needs are hard to identify sometimes, especially for ourselves. So this isn't an exercise about whether you can meet the need or whether we can meet the need. Sometimes practicing naming needs is a practice of calling into being, of calling into right relationships. So what do you need? What do our land and our community and our ancestors need? What are those deep spiritual longings that we can notice and name? What needs might we center to keep drawing the circle wider still? Here we go. This one.
When I rise, I want to rise pure in the eyes of the one in the eyes of the one. When I speak, I want to speak true in the ears of the one in the ears of the one. Show me the song you've given to me. Show me what longs to happen through me. Show me the question I came to answer. I will surrender. I will surrender with my hands. On the house of the one, on the house of the one. Show me the song you've given to me. Show me what longs to happen through me. Show me I wanna rest in peace in the arms of the one, in the arms of the one, in the arms of the one.
Thank you so much for going through these circles with me. I invite you to hold on to them. Feel free to add to them as we go.
Generosity is a spiritual practice of our Unitarian Universalist congregations. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. Links to donate will be in the chat, or you can take a meditative moment, writing out a check and sending it to the church after the service. Ushers will be coming around the sanctuary to collect an offering from those in the pews who wish to donate something more tangible. As Michael shares some instrumental improvisation with us, an offering to sustain this congregation of memory and hope, be gratefully received. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for the music. Friends, thank you for your generosity. In that spirit of thanks, I invite us to create a community blessing now in this space, and this space online, to share aloud or in the chat what gratitude is coming up for you. What are you feeling grateful for in this moment? What blessings surprised you in what you wrote or draw or reflected on? What are we giving thanks for today? We'll take a moment to think. And I invite you to call it out. Bluebirds.
Tori.
The ground. Daffodils. Friends. The earth. Moonlight. Love. Connection. Family. Online, Jen writes, dogwoods in Georgia. Marcia writes, peace. Crabgrass, says Deb. For pollinators, orange salamanders in puddles. Andrea says, all of it, that we can be grateful. Carol says, the wooded area behind my house. I'm not sure if I heard light or life, but let's give thanks for both of those things. Spirit of life, for all that is within our circles, those close, intimate ones that hold us most tightly, those ripples that spread outward, let us know how loved and held we are. Let us draw those circles wider still. Let us give thanks for those who lift us up. Let us tell them thanks. Let us expand our circles of community. Let us know the needs that call to us. Show us what longs to happen through us. For all of this, we give thanks. Amen. I'm going to close us out with a song that I'd love to teach you. It's a kind of a folk song about radical compassion and love. It uses text from the biblical book of Ruth, and it was written by Shoshana Jedwab, who's a Jewish musician and educator who comes from a family of rabbis and community leaders, and she's the daughter of Holocaust survivors. The song, Where You Go, I Will Go, she wrote it for Jewish ritual use initially, but she quickly brought it out into the streets. The version that I learned is a little different from the original, how Shoshana wrote it. I learned it orally, by ear, at a UU Ministers Gathering in 2018. Reverend Marta Valentin sang it, accompanied only by an egg shaker to keep the beat. I can't be trusted with an egg shaker without throwing it, so I'll just tap something. She got all of the ministers in the room singing along pretty quickly and enthusiastically, so I hope that's how we'll sing it today. So I'll teach it, and then we'll rise in body or spirit and sing it. So I'll sing a line and invite you all to sing it back. Thank you. That's a great key. Where you go, I will... Oh, let me put up the slide so you have the lyrics. 1 second. I'm gonna put up the slide. Here's how the melody goes. It goes like this. One moment. here comes the slide. Okay, it goes like this. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Will you sing that back to me? Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. And then we repeat it, I'll sing it again. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Ooh, add harmonies like that. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. And here's how the second part goes. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Let's do that. Your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. That second half. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. That's the whole second verse. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. Great. I invite you to rise in body, rise in spirit. Let's sing this. Add some percussion, add some harmonies, add whatever calls to you. Here we go. 3, 4. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. Where you go? Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. One more time, where you go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. Amen. You may have a seat. Friends, I invite you, if it feels comfortable, to place your hands over your heart for our closing blessing. If that helps you connect, you can place your hands open, whatever works for you. We give thanks for the land with its hidden histories and its magnificent beauty. May we continue to learn from it and protect it, this sacred ground that holds us up. For the ancestors that surround us, who have made us who we are, may we bring forth the best of your legacies, carrying your stories forward to the next generation. For community, the symbiosis of relationship, care and concern, connection, within, among, and beyond our walls, for knowing that we are not alone. For all of the needs that arise, calling for our hearts, and for the ones that we sweep aside, may we soften into our greatest wells of compassion, finding our way through, mending the broken places as best we can, to meet what is cracked with clarity, to mirror and grow whatever beauty we find, and then to share our blessings freely, wildly, boldly, blessing the world and blessing ourselves. Blessed are we all. May you be at peace. Amen. That was rocking. Oh, friends, a few brief announcements from me, and then I believe also from Gretchen about the pledge season before we do our joys and sorrows. So,